Chapter 244 Qiu'er, and not one who picks on others. After hearing Elderson's words, everyone went silent. If sects were allowed to participate in the tournament, they might no longer be odds on to be the champions anymore. Just like Elderson had said, there would be a lot of trouble if the body sect also competed in the tournament, not to mention the rest of the sects on the continent. The body sect wasn't the only capable sect. In Yuao's heart, the clear sky sect was not inferior to the body sect. Bei said, Elderson, it'll be much more difficult for us in this tournament. You called for us because you want us to up our training intensity over the next few months. Elderson waved his hand and replied, no matter how the system changes, I'm confident in all of you. In the last tournament, the 7 of you brought back the title of champions even under such unfortunate circumstances. 5 years on, the 7 of you are even better than before. So what if the other sects compete? Although this spells more trouble, I'm sure you'll emerge as champions. However, have the 7 of you ever considered the fact that a change in the system will be beneficial for you even if it's a bad thing for the academy? The 7 of you belong to the same sect. After hearing his words, everyone was stunned. As members of Shrek's 7 monsters, they naturally treated themselves as part of Shrek Academy. They were the main competing members of the academy. However, Elderson's words made it sound a little different. Shusanchi was stunned as he asked, Elderson, are you saying that you are allowing us to compete in the tournament as part of the Tang Sect? Elderson smiled and replied, I'm not approving anything. It depends on whether the 7 of you are willing. Their expressions changed as they looked at one another. Elderson said, if the 7 of you compete as part of the Tang Sect, the academy will send another team to compete. All of you will still be recognized as Shrek 7 monsters. This means that everyone will still know that you are from Shrek Academy even though you are representing the Tang Sect. In this way, it's equivalent to our academy sending 2 teams out. This is double insurance for the academy. Bei hesitated. However, if we win, the legacy of Shrek Academy's glory in the tournament will. Elderson replied, when Elder Mu passed away, he once told me that glory can't be a restraint. What's a little glory compared to the better development of the academy in your futures? Don't tell me that Shrek Academy will stop being the top academy on the continent just because we are not champions. As he spoke till here, there was a look of pride in his eyes. Bei pondered for a moment before saying, if we represent the Tang Sect, we'll still face some problems. For example, we don't have any substitutes. In addition, can the academy send a suitable team in our place? Elderson replied, you look down on the academy too much. I was still hesitating over this matter. However, didn't you tell all of you that there's a new talent in the academy? Who are you? I said immediately. Qiu'er. Elderson nodded and said, that's right. If the 7 of you represent the Tang Sect, Qiu'er will assume the role of team leader to represent Shrek Academy. There are still other outstanding students below the age of 20 in our academy. Although they aren't as good as the 7 of you, they aren't that much inferior. I'll give you a few days to think about it. Let's make it 3 days. Within 3 days, you must give me a definite answer. Yes. Bei acknowledged his words. From the way he clenched his fist, it was evident that he wasn't calm. He was even slightly agitated. After bidding Elderson goodbye, everyone gathered at Bei and Shusanchi's dormitory. Shusanchi said, guys, what should we do? Should we represent Shrek or the Tang Sect? Hikaiju said, I'm fine with both. To me, there's not much difference. Elderson was right. No matter who we represent, everyone will know that we're from Shrek. If we represent the Tang Sect, it's equivalent to Shrek sending 2 teams for the tournament. Jangnan and furrowed her brow and said, I'm only worried. If we represent the Tang Sect, it'll be very difficult for Shrek Academy to become champions. Whether they lose to us or others, it'll represent the end of Shrek's glory in the tournament. We fought so hard to preserve this glory during the last tournament. If we lose it just like that, I'll be very indignant. While Elderson appeared to be very calm about the matter, the influence of this glory will impact Shrek greatly. Xiao didn't utter a word. She rarely opened her mouth during discussions. Bei turned his attention towards Yuao and Wangdong. What about the 2 of you? Yuao pondered for a moment before replying. I feel that we should represent the Tang Sect. In terms of selfish motives, I want to do this for teacher Xiao and do my best to help the Tang Sect prosper. Disregarding selfish considerations, we can't rely on the academy forever. We need to make a name for ourselves too. As for the academy's glory, I don't think there'll be any conflict even if we represent the Tang Sect. No conflict. Bei was puzzled as he looked at him. Yuao whispered something, and everyone's gazes turned perplexed. Isn't this a little shameless? Will the committee allow this? Wangdong couldn't help but say. She looked at Yuao with a weird look on her face. Yuao asked confusedly, how is it shameless? We're only showcasing our identities. No matter how the system changes, there shouldn't be any special restrictions in this aspect. Bei and Shusanchi looked at each other. Bei was relieved, while Shusanchi clapped his hands and said, 6th junior, you're impressive. I didn't expect you to inherit eldest senior slyness. Impressive. Bei snapped and kicked. Get lost. How am I sly? Shusanchi avoided his kick and said, how dare you kick me? Be careful, or I won't give my best during the tournament. Bei nodded and replied, then I'll send Nanan up to deal with the most troublesome opponent around. You. Shusanchi opened his eyes wide and was filled with condemnation. Bei acted like he didn't see anything and said, I think that little junior's suggestion is very good. Since this is the case, we've solved our greatest problem. I also agree that we should represent the Tang Sect to compete. Undoubtedly, Bei, Shusanchi and Yuao were the core of this team. Shusanchi didn't say anything, but he appeared to be fine with the suggestion. Yuao and Bei had already agreed, and thus there was technically a conclusion already. Bei took in a deep breath and said seriously, then let's do our best for the Tang Sect's glory in this tournament. As he spoke, he reached out with his right hand. Everyone reached out their right hands and they stacked their hands together. A strong camaraderie surrounded the dormitory hall they were in. Let's go. Let's tell Elderson what we think. The academy can also prepare. Bei told Yuao, and they prepared to leave the dormitory. After leaving, Bei hugged Yuao's shoulder. Thank you. He knew that everyone would have hesitated without Yuao's support, since they were clearly aware that they were all members of Shrek's 7 monsters. Among the 7 of them, Bei was undoubtedly the most eager to represent the Tang Sect. It was all for the Tanya. Tanya had been missing for close to 5 years, and there had been no news of her yet. What was the probability that she was still alive? Although Bei had never mentioned it over the past 5 years, he knew the internal pressure that he felt. He just wanted to do something for the Tanya now, and he also prayed every day in the hopes that she was still alive. Undoubtedly, the modified Continental Soulmaster Youth Tournament was a good way to find Tanya. If the Tang Sect eventually emerged as champions, Tanya would learn of the good news, and perhaps she would return. Even if they couldn't find her, Bei's promise to her could still be fulfilled. Yuao shook his head slightly and said, Elder Senior, I would have died in the Great Stardo Forest if not for you and teacher Xiao. The 2 of you are my benefactors. I was also given the chance to enter Shrek Academy because of the Tang Sect. Although I'm a Shrek Academy student, I'm also a part of the Tang Sect. Without affecting the academy's glory, I'm willing to fight for the Tang Sect's glory and teacher Xiao. When we emerge as champions, she'll know about it and return. Bei said with confidence, yes, Xiao will be back. I will wait for her for my entire life. After receiving their report, Elderson looked as if he knew this was going to happen. He only instructed them to make their preparations. When the change to the system was confirmed, he would inform them about the registration method again. After exiting the Sea God's Pavilion, Bei seemed to recall something. He asked Yuao, oh yes, a few people were here to find you yesterday. They came to the academy directly. Since you went around, the academy wasn't able to host them. They came directly to me. I asked them to proceed to the Tang Sect first. If you are not in a rush, you can go and find them first. They seem to come from the Sun Moon Empire. Nana knows them too. After hearing Bei's words, Yuao was elated. It was good news. He immediately guessed who was here to find him. Eldest Senior, was it a soul engineer named Sun Wen who was here to find me? Yuao asked immediately. Bei thought for a moment before replying. I think there was such a person. I was busy with other things then, and didn't bother to converse with them properly. Yuao was delighted. It's good if it's teacher Sun. Eldest Senior, he's a class 8 soul engineer. He's also a chief researcher in the illustrious Virtue Hall. If he's willing to join the Tang Sect, our reputation in soul tools will soon grow in the continent. Oh, what's going on? Bei Bei was interested after hearing his words. Qiu'er recounted his bet with Sun Wen, and how he had attracted him to join the Tang Sect. After hearing his explanation, Bei Bei finally understood, and was also surprised. Undoubtedly, it was very difficult to find someone of Sun Wen's caliber. Qiu'er was greatly strengthening the sect by poaching someone as capable as him. Alright, that's great. No, I must go with you. Oh, wait, the 7 of us should go together. Teacher Sun is very important. We need to show our respect for him. Bei Bei said decisively. Qiu'er said, eldest senior, did you mention that there were a few of them? Besides Teacher Sun, who else is here? Bei Bei laughed. Why are you asking me? If you don't know, why would I know? Don't think about it. You'll know when we see them. Alright. Qiu'er acknowledged his words, and the two returned to the dormitory to brief the rest before proceeding to the Tang Sect. They had great freedom in the academy. They only needed to consult their teachers when they had any queries. There weren't any rules restricting their freedom. The 7 of them rushed over to the Tang Sect. After entering the courtyard, Qiu'er saw 2 familiar figures. He was stunned as he saw them, and mumbled, "The 2 of you really can't be shaken off." Bei Bei stared at him and asked, "Yuao, what do you mean?" Qiu'er laughed bitterly. "I have to say this about these 2. Eldest senior, you don't know how much they pestered me. Why are they here with Teacher Sun to find me?" The two individuals that Qiu'er mentioned were sparring as Qiu'er and Bei Bei entered the courtyard, but they stopped when the 2 of them entered. As they saw Qiu'er's annoyed look, they revealed smiles on their face. These 2 were Jijuiken and Jingxian, Qiu'er's old foes when he was at the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. Qiu'er certainly didn't expect the 2 of them to be here in Shrek City. Jingxian placed her hands on her waist and taunted him. "Why Qiu'er? Why don't you welcome us? You're acting tough just because we're in your territory? If you're unconvinced, why don't you fight us?" Seeing these 2 pests, Qiu'er placed his hands on his waist and answered, "Okay, are the 2 of you challenging the 7 of us, or are we whacking the 2 of you?" Jingxian was joking, but Jijuiken took it for real. He had found another pitch black iron sword. He pointed it forward, and his aura sword. He wasn't called a sword fanatic for nothing. As they felt the sharp and vicious sword intent, the rest of the 7 were stunned. What was going on? Were they enemies? Stop fooling around. Let's clear things up before sparring. Qiu'er looked helpless as he approached them. After that, he turned to the rest behind him and said, "Let me introduce you guys. These 2 guys are Jingxian and Jijuiken. They are my good pals from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy." Jingxian grinned when she heard Qiu'er's introduction. When he said good pals, he sounded extremely furious. "They are my seniors and juniors in the Tang Sect. Surely the 2 of you didn't come all the way from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy to Shrek City to fight me, right?" Qiu'er didn't know what the 2 of them were up to. Jijuiken shook his head immediately. Qiu'er heaved a sigh of relief. "That's right, they couldn't possibly travel thousands of kilometers to fight him." However, Jingxian followed with, "We came here to fight many rounds with you." "What?" Qiu'er almost choked on his saliva. "Many rounds? Don't you need to study?" Jijuiken replied, "We've quit the academy." Jingxian said seriously, "When you were about to leave, we discussed and agreed that we learned more from sparring with you than anything we've learned from the academy. We are both more like soul masters. That's why we believe this place might be more suitable for us, and why we're here. We don't really have anything over there that we'll miss anyway. You can just give us a roof over our heads and fight us every day. You can also choose not to fight us, but we'll stick to you wherever you go." Qiu'er was stunned as he stared at them. It was quite miraculous that they could actually pester him to such a standard. Jijuiken waved his sword and said, "Since we've cleared things up, can we fight now?" The rest of Shrek's 7 monsters, including Wang Donga, had no intention of helping Qiu'er. They all moved to one side to watch the show that was about to start. Wang Donga whispered to the rest in a bid to explain Jijuiken and Jingxian's background. Just as everyone was ready to watch the sparring, a voice sounded out from the gate. "Qiu'er, come out." This voice was very familiar. Qiu'er was stunned for another moment. He signaled to Jijuiken before walking out. It was Wang Qiu'er, who was standing outside. Qiu'er was at a loss for words as he asked her, "Qiu'er, why are you here?" She replied, "Why can't I come? Are there terrifying beasts in the Tang Sect? I went to the inner courtyard to find you, but I heard you were out. I guess that you returned to the Tang Sect, so I came to find you. Ding Kai told me that the 3 soul bones can be shared between the 2 of us. What do you plan to do with them?" Qiu'er said, "I have something to deal with over here. Come in first. We'll talk about the soul bones later. Since you want them, I can give them all to you." As he spoke, he ushered Wang Qiu'er inside. Jingxian rubbed her eyes as she saw Wang Qiu'er entering. After that, she turned to the other side and asked, "Twins?" Wang Qiu'er replied, "No." Wang Donga also answered, "We are not twins." They were both so ravishing, and were even lookalikes. Even Jijuiken couldn't help but take more glances at the 2 of them. "Qiu'er, come." Jijuiken lifted his sword again. After he had stopped sparring, he had felt his improvement stalling. This also made him more certain that giving up his education at the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy to find Qiu'er was the correct decision. Qiu'er snapped, "Come, what come? Don't you see that I have guests? Also, where's Teacher Sun?" Jijuiken's eyes were already filled with the light of competition, and couldn't be bothered. "Let's fight first." As he spoke, he lifted his blade, and a vicious sword intent was released. At this point, his soul power seemed different from before. It surfaced as a dim silver, and even his eyes shone with silver light. It was evident that his powers had improved. Jijuiken said, "Yuao, I developed a deeper understanding of sword intent, which I have named Dragon Slayer. Come on." Dragon Slayer? Qiu'er's expression turned weird, and he immediately twisted his head to look at Wang Qiu'er. He muttered, "I'm not someone who picks on others, but someone has named his ability Dragon Slayer. Qiu'er, can you accept that?" Wang Qiu'er coordinated with him and snorted, "Of course not. Let me fight him instead." As she spoke, she took a step forward. She let out a deep roar, and the entirety of Tang Sect seemed to shake momentarily. Following this, a strong competitive will rose from her. She didn't have any sword or fist intent, but only possessed an unprecedented and domineering fighting will. Her deep dragon roar shook the air, and intense golden light started to surround her entire body in layers. The rest of Shrek's 7 monsters widened their eyes as they looked at her. This works. Yuao still dares to say that he's not a picky person? What is considered picky then? He passed on his hatred too easily. Jijuiken was also stunned when his opponent suddenly changed. However, he recovered very quickly. To him, it didn't matter who his opponent was. The key was that his opponent was able to give him pressure. He couldn't find someone like that in the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. Otherwise, why would he travel all the way here? It was easy to tell whether one was capable after they made their first move. Qiu'er only stepped forward, but she immediately repressed Jijuiken's aura. This simple action already left him very impressed. Jijuiken squinted his eyes, but the sword intent that he had unleashed suddenly turned gentle. While Qiu'er had passed on the trouble to Wang Qiu'er, he didn't cease observing Jijuiken. As his sword intent changed, his expression also changed slightly. Is he pulling off a reversal? No, it isn't at that standard yet. How does he hide it? A hidden sword intent is the most terrifying weapon. I didn't expect his improvement to be so great. He has already understood sword intent to such a standard. It seemed like it wouldn't be easy for him to deal with Jijuiken. After all, he was focused only on swords, while Qiu'er had to learn many things. Perhaps he could beat him in overall abilities, but it would become increasingly difficult for him to tackle Jijuiken's sword intent with just his own fist. At this point, Wang Qiu'er moved. She didn't care about his sword intent or whatever tricks he had up his sleeve. In her eyes, her opponents would only meet with one result: destruction. Wang Qiu'er burst towards Jijuiken like a golden shooting star. Her right fist also turned completely golden, and she attacked without using any flowery skills. Jijuiken held his sword with both his hands. He made half a step with his left leg and thrust forward. As this sword pierced out, the silver light around him was sucked into the sword, eventually gathering at the tip. The moment it stabbed out, the surrounding air seemed to overlap. As a boom sounded, her fist and his sword collided, and an explosion rang out. No one had expected Wang Qiu'er's fist to change at the last moment. Yes, it changed. Her fist turned into a palm. She tore through space just like that, and avoided Jijuiken's sword. Her right palm struck the blade instead. Her body turned as the sword aimed for her vitals. The vicious sword intent that shot out struck the wall and caused a huge explosion, blowing apart a hole at least 3 meters wide. Jijuiken's sword also started to crack at this point. Wang Qiu'er crushed his sword with her palm. As she made a turn, her left fist punched straight towards Jijuiken. Jijuiken subconsciously lifted his hands to block. Another boom sounded, and Jijuiken flew back like a broken sack, slamming into the wall. 2 strikes. From the start to the end, Qiu'er only unleashed 2 strikes. The fight ended just like that. As she stood straight, a gust of violent wind seemed to blow beside her. Her sleeves and hair were blown backward, and the golden light around her body was withdrawn. She was extremely strong. Everyone was stunned as they watched the fight. Jingxian was the most shocked. She understood Qiu'er's abilities the best. After he gained a deeper understanding of sword intent, his own sword intent seemed to have undergone a huge transformation. However, he lost so pathetically to Qiu'er, even more pathetically than the first time he had fought Qiu'er. She also only had 6 soul rings, just like him. Was this Shrek Academy's ability? Only Qiu'er could tell that Qiu'er didn't win easily, even though she appeared to be very relaxed. She seemed to have transcended space and avoided Qiu'er's sword intent. Her sleeves and hair were not blown back because she was trying to act cool. She was trying to neutralize the shockwave from Qiu'er's sword intent. She stood there for 5 seconds before the wind around her calmed down and disappeared. She was slightly stunned as she looked at Qiu'er, who had formed a human-shaped hole in the wall. She nodded at him and said, "Bring a better sword next time." Qiu'er was covered in dust now, and even looked slightly pathetic. However, his eyes were especially bright. He looked back at Qiu'er and nodded. Qiu'er turned around to look at Qiu'er and said, "Find me after you return to the inner courtyard." After she finished speaking, she didn't bother with the others and left just like that, as if she had just done something insignificant. Jingxian's facial muscles were cramping slightly as she muttered, This is too much. Qiu'er, where did you find that lady?" Qiu'er placed his hands behind his back and said carefully, "Those from the Tang Sect are all of this standard. Don't bother finding me in the future. Have you seen? These are my seniors. What are your plans?" Qiu'er didn't bother with the dust on his body, and nodded at Qiu'er. He said, "Staying." Jingxian also said, "We're definitely going to stay here. Give us a place to stay and eat. That'll be enough." Qiu'er furrowed his brow and said, "You can't stay. The Tang Sect doesn't accept outsiders. You will only be fed and given a place to stay if you join us." Cough cough. Bei coughed twice and hurriedly walked over. He said, "Since the two of you have come from afar, you can stay as long as you want. Of course, our doors will always be open to you. We are not as pathetic as Little Junior described us. Our sect has our own martial soul department. I believe both of you know about the glory of the Tang Sect from thousands of years ago. We're rebuilding the Tang Sect because we want to regain that glory again." Qiu'er immediately added on, "Elder Senior, we can't just accept anyone. Their abilities are a bit weak. Furthermore, we won't accept outsiders. Once they learn from our sect, they can't leave easily. Otherwise, we'll have to get back what they've learned." Jingxian glared and asked, "Qiu'er, who's weak?" Qiu'er answered, "I'm talking about you. Can you beat me? I'm ranked 6th in the Tang Sect, but you can't even best me. Aren't you weak?" "You." As the two of them bickered, Qiu'er's eyes flashed for a moment before he nodded and said, "We're staying. We won't go." Jingxian snorted and said, "We'll stay. When we learn the Tang Sect's secret techniques, we'll deal with you again." Qiu'er laughed bitterly. "You're welcome anytime. All right, we are all Tang Sect brothers and sisters now. Let me introduce you." He introduced all his seniors to them. Qiu'er was still a little stunned, and only nodded at everyone. However, Jingxian made up for what he was lacking, greeting everyone properly. Bei secretly gave Qiu'er a thumbs up. They could obviously tell that the two of them had rather strong abilities. While Qiu'er won beautifully, did Qiu'er actually lose so heavily? Change his sword, and it would be difficult to tell. Qiu'er said, "Brother Ji, have you been unable to find a suitable sword?" Qiu'er nodded. Qiu'er replied, "Try this." As he spoke, he took out a sword from his storage-type soul tool and offered it to Qiu'er. There was a reason why Qiu'er was called a sword fanatic. When he saw swords, he had the same reaction as Shu Sanchi when he saw beauties. His eyes immediately brightened, and he was filled with passion. He received the sword without any hesitation. Once the sword entered his hand, he immediately said, "It's a good sword. Thank you." This sword's blade surfaces were 2 different colors. One was black, and the other was white. Wasn't this the judgment sword that had sparked the evil fire within Ma Xiaodao during the last Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament? Elder Mu had eventually given this judgment sword to Qiu'er, but Qiu'er didn't use swords, and thus he took this opportunity to give it to Qiu'er. Qiu'er poured his soul power into the sword as he held it. A stunned look arose on his face. The combination of light and darkness was something he had never experienced before, but it was present in this sword. It was a truly strong sword. Qiu'er said, "This sword is a close combat soul tool. It's also the strongest close combat soul tool that I've ever seen. It's called the Judgment Sword. It caused huge problems for us during the last tournament. I'm giving it to you now because I hope that you can unleash its full power. It doesn't have many requirements of its user, and possesses great strength. I can feel that even the person who molded this sword was unable to unleash its full power. Just to reclaim this sword, Jing Chen came to Shrek Academy personally. From this, I'm sure you can tell how great it is." "All right, thanks." Qiu'er thanked him for the second time, which showed how much he liked his sword. "A room for me?" Qiu'er replied, "Okay. However, the two of you will need to shoulder some responsibility since you've joined Tang Sect." "Oh." Qiu'er was startled for a moment. Qiu'er wore a serious expression on his face as he said, "At least you'll need to be responsible for your own actions. Fix the wall." He was right. 2 of the walls had been damaged. The courtyard of the Tang Sect was now exposed. Qiu'er's expression stiffened, and he looked at Jingxian as if he were begging for help. Jingxian was also in a daze. She snapped, "Why are you looking at me? You're a big man. You want me to fix the wall for you? Do you still have face?" Qiu'er's expression turned bitter, and he asked Qiu'er, "Where are the bricks?" Qiu'er's lips twitched, and he tried his best not to laugh. "I'll find some for you." Jiang Nanan commented as she saw what happened. "Yuao, don't bully an honest person. I'll arrange your living quarters. Regarding the wall, let a few of them think about it. Thanks." Qiu'er felt as if he had met his benefactor. Shu Sanchi was a little worried as he saw Qiu'er's handsome looks and felt his naturally woody aura. He rushed to say, I'll go to. Qiu'er was speechless as he said, "None of you saw how they tortured me in the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy. I'm just exacting a little revenge on them." Shu Sanchi and Jiang Nanan brought Jingxian and Qiu'er away to their living quarters. Bei watched as they left and didn't hide his delight anymore. Little Junior, it seems like the Tang Sect is becoming more and more prosperous. Those two aren't ordinary. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.